recording right now. Okay, we're recording. So, all right, we're in business here. So, we've got a few people on the telephone. Who's on the telephone?
Jim Cameron, Rick.
Jim Cameron. Welcome, Jim Cameron.
Thank you.
Dennis Correa.
Dennis, I'm mobile, maybe Thursday or Friday. I'll give you a buzz. And do I have your telephone number? Let me look and see if I have your telephone number. If not, you can send it to me. Let me just look. Contacts. Korea. Dennis Korea. No, I don't. So would you do me a favor and send me an email? With you?
I'll do that.
Or you can give it me over the phone, whichever is more comfortable for you.
Oh, I'll give it to you now.
Go ahead.
It's 520.
Yeah.
744.
Yeah.
8189.
Got it. Okay, I'll call you after the holiday, and I think I'm probably going to come up Thursday or Friday, so we'll get together.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. Do we have anybody else on the phone? No. All right. Let me keep writing names down here. It's cooled off a little bit down here. I think it's only going to be 102 today. So.
What city are you in?
Well, I'm in a little hamlet, but Dennis is in Tucson. I'm about 40 miles south of Tucson. I'm about 15 miles north of the border. Less than 15 miles, I think. So. But we're talking about southern Arizona here.
Yeah, hot.
It actually, to me, it doesn't feel that bad, and, you know. But I must be weird. Peter Kafka, I see you're on. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Have you been following this back and forth with Mike Scott? And I'm waiting for you to chime in there on that.
I was just, if you read my mind, I was just going to do it, and then I looked at my watch and I said, oh, no, I just got back from the landfill. I didn't have time to chime in, but I'm going to.
Oh, I thought you would. We should share. Why don't you share with the rest of the group what we're talking about whilst I'm writing names down here?
Yeah, some of you probably haven't met Howard Walensky yet. Howard's an advocate, runs a blog, and he has somewhat of a following. He's out of Chicago, but he's an active proponent of active surveillance, AS. He's got low-grade disease. It's actually debatable whether he's really got disease or not. He's been kind of fighting the whole biopsy regimen and whether there's another way to go about it, using MRIs. He's had biopsies already, but they're inconclusive. Anyway, so he's made contact with another guy who runs a support group for low-grade guys out of Iceland. I can't pronounce his name, but I've been emailing him back and forth. He's a pretty intelligent, dedicated guy who runs a group for low-grade guys out of Reykjavik, Iceland, and he's been to the PCRI conference in LA last year and maybe before that. Anyway, Mike Scott's involved, so there's an active discussion about, is there another way to go about diagnosis rather than just going for the trust biopsy? Have we gotten to the point where MRIs are kind of conclusive and can give us a different diagnosis rather than rely on just the gold standard of going to the biopsy, particularly for guys with low-grade disease. And it's inconclusive. There's more and more reliance on the MRI biopsy, but insurance companies aren't going to fund it. They'll fund it usually after a biopsy, but usually not before. You've got to fight with them to do that. So anyway, we're running a dialogue around kind of looking for ways to get a leg up on this, so it's not just left up to the medical people to make a decision.
Peter, this is a perfect segue because we squeezed you out last week, I think, to talk about your group. You said you would like a couple of minutes to talk about your group. So why don't we just do that whilst people are joining?
Sure. You got a couple of people on the phone.
Yeah, we'll get them.
Okay. Well, as most of you know, I've been moderate. I've got kind of a leg in both camps. You know, I was diagnosed with a pretty aggressive Gleason 9. Fortunately, it was caught before it went metastatic, but I'm watching it carefully. I've been through surgery, been through radiation. I've been through 18 months of hormone treatment. So I've got a good amount of experience in both camps. So what I did was I kind of took over for John's group, which was the original Reluctant Brotherhood Low and Intermediate group, because he didn't particularly want to get into the nuts and bolts of stuff on a low-grade call. So I co-moderate that with
Ken Mason.
Ken Mason, sorry, spacing out here. Anyway, with Ken Mason out of Lincoln, Nebraska. So he and I work together on twice a month on the second and fourth Mondays. And the group varies. Sometimes it's maybe half a dozen of us. Sometimes it's as many as a dozen. As you know, with low-grade disease, some people kind of touch in for a few weeks or a month or a couple of months. And if their disease is manageable, they might, kind of get off the radar and just kind of handle it on their own. A lot of guys just don't want to talk about ad nauseum prostate cancer. They just want it to go away. And if it's low-grade disease and they can handle it with active surveillance or early surgery or early radiation or something, seeds, etc., they might be able to go for another 10, 15 years and not have to think about it at all, or maybe never in their life have to think about it. So we don't have we're building a steady core, but we don't have an active core group like in this one. For me, I enjoy it because a lot of guys come on in that well-known panic mode when they're newly diagnosed and kind of don't know where to turn. They've heard the word cancer, and that's enough. They've fallen apart. And we're able to provide a lot of good help, sending them to the right medical facilities, trying to help them find the right doctors, trying to help them calm down and ask the right questions. To me, it's a very fulfilling call. But I think the main thing I wanted to mention was that in my mind, and in the mind of a lot of these guys, or even though they might have a diagnosis of Gleason 6 or Gleason 3+4, 7, seemingly low-grade disease, it doesn't mean it's not something to be taken seriously. It is a serious disease, and for some guys, it can go metastatic. Even at a Gleason 6, there's mysterious things that go on, and I encourage guys not to ignore things and not to sweep it under a carpet, because 3 years down the road or 5 years down the road, they could be tripping over the lump that they left when they swept things under the carpet. So I care about people. I follow up on them. I sometimes call them or email them months after the fact, even though I haven't heard from them, just to let them know we're checking up and we're thinking about them. And we've gotten to the point now. The other day, I had 3 of us on the call just for Maui alone. So I kind of teased Ken Mason about that. 3 guys from Maui. We have less than 120,000 population here. Maui. So it's gaining momentum, and we'll probably start a live face-to-face group here this fall. So I just wanted to report that these guys are, from my mind, very much in my consciousness and part of this thing as well, even though they might not seemingly have huge issues to deal with. In their mind, it's huge, and in my consciousness, it's big as well. So,
Thanks, Peter. I mean, I want to publicly thank Peter because he's just doing incredible work for us. And on Maui, with the groups, everywhere, you know, any place he touches, he's making a big difference for us. And I know that he's really well appreciated by the guys that he's supporting. And I mean, most of you, if you think back, can recall that when you first got diagnosed, even if you didn't think you had metastatic disease, it was a bit of a shock. And I think what Peter is doing to settle a lot of guys down is just as important as what we do on this call when we get men coming in who think that their lifespan has been significantly shortened, and we try to make them understand that there are so many options that it might not be quite as short as maybe your doctors are telling you or you think in your own mind. And it's all relative. And most of you fellas and ladies are handling the situation pretty well. But the reason you're on this call is that hopefully we can help you to handle it better, and it's just as true with those that have low and intermediate disease. So thanks, Peter, and thanks for telling us about that. And by the way, anybody that feels like participating in that group is very welcome to add their wisdom and their sagacity to Peter's voice. They meet on second and fourth Mondays. So
yeah. One more thing, Rick.
Yeah.
If most guys, if your life is anything like mine, it's almost like glue or Scotch tape or something. You know, as soon as you're diagnosed with prostate cancer, it seems like every other person you meet has prostate cancer or has had it in some fashion or another. So if you run into guys with, you know, newly diagnosed or low-grade disease or something, just mention to them that we have a call specifically for that that could be of help. It's a live call, and we're consistently there every 2 weeks.
Okay, so let me run down the list of the people that I see. And first of all, so we can check everybody in, I know that we've got a few people on the phone that we haven't identified yet, but we're about to do that. So people I know that are here are Jim Cameron, Dennis Correa, Jake Hannum, Eric Bookbinder, Peter Kafka, Mark Mooney, and Barbara Goldberg, Spokane Gary, Len Sierra, and who have I missed? Who else is out there today?
Sylvester Mann.
Hello, Sylvester.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
Frank
Who else?
Kelly.
Frank Kelly? Oh,
Yes,
my
I'm
goodness. A voice from the past. How's Frank Kelly?
Well, he's doing all right. I figured I'd check in and see what's going on.
Oh, I'm so glad. We're always glad to hear your voice. That's great. Happy for you.
You're down in Arizona with all that heat?
I am down in Arizona with all that heat, and it looks like it's just about to rain. I just saw a flash of lightning. That'll be nice. Well, we'll come back to you for sure, Mr. Kelly. And anyone else on the telephone?
Oh, yeah, Paul Frieda had to switch from the computer to the telephone.
Okay, Paul Frieda. We got you. We've got you at number 6. Or my man Jake has you at number 6, I should say. Okay. So let me run down the list and let's see who would like some time today. We don't have anybody new, so we should have plenty of time for some good discussion. Jim Cameron, you want to give us an update on all your bits and pieces?
Yeah, sure, Rick. No problem.
Okay. Dennis, anything for you to talk to us about today?
Yes, I will.
Great. Jake, anything for you?
Not really, Rick. Maybe if we have time, but I don't really have anything pressing.
Well, we probably will have time. So if there's something, this is a good day. So if there's something that you want to sort of air, we may have time to talk about it.
Okay.
Eric, anything for you?
Yes, I'll have an update.
Great, thank you, thank you. Peter, how about yourself?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Mark and Barbara, maybe you want to talk to us a little bit about this this laryngitis that seems to be encompassing you.
Maybe you want to wait till she comes back so you can hear me.
Where did you send her?
She had to take the dog out quickly.
Okay. All right. Well, we won't get to you right away, but we'll stop by you to see. Okay. Gary, anything for you?
I'd like to just listen in tonight.
You're more than welcome. Len, I see you've come out of the basement to join our call.
Yeah, just temporarily. I got to get back down to the basement as soon as the call is over.
Okay.
Nothing from me, Rick. Thank you.
Okay. Len is in the process of selling his house, but he has to organize his basement to make the house look beautiful. And so his wife has cast him down there for the last 3 weeks. He emerges just, I think, to eat. And anything else? Is there a lavatory down in the basement, Len?
No, fortunately, my bladder's in pretty good shape, though.
Oh, okay, okay. Sylvester, anything for you?
Not this time. Thanks so much.
Frank Kelly, we certainly want to hear from you.
Well, I don't have much to talk about. I was just going to listen in.
Well, we can at least touch base with you and see how you've been doing for the last month or so.
Okay.
And Paul, anything for you today? Mr. Frieda? Are you muted, perhaps? Well, it looks like Paul's dropped off for a second. Oh, there he is.
I'm trying to get back on the computer, but I'm still on the phone. So.
Okay. Oh, would you like to talk to us about anything today?
Oh, no, I don't have anything. Just want to listen and learn.
Okay. All right. So, well, right now, we're all old friends, so we can chat. And let's start with Jim Cameron. Jim, how are you managing with these various ailments?
Well, right after the last meeting, I was down at Johns Hopkins, and I saw Dr. Arnott. She's the surgeon who operated on the cancer in my eye a year ago, and she concurred with the ophthalmologist in Florida that I had 2 big cataracts. They're going to have to be addressed. But the one good news was down in Florida, they claimed I was developing, I forget what the eye disease that seniors get all the time. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Macular
degeneration, yes. But after I went through all the tests at Johns Hopkins, it's really retinitis, which is to be expected, she said, after, which I knew, after my 2 eye operations last year, and I'd lost about 35% of the vision in that eye, on my left eye. And the game plan was last Wednesday to go down. Of course, she's an oncologist, so she doesn't do cataracts. She lined me up with a cataract surgeon down there for last Wednesday. But we got home the Thursday before, and the next thing you know, I ended up in the hospital.
Oh, geez. What happened?
Yeah, I started to urinate blood in big clots again, and I talked to them, and they said, "Oh, just keep rinsing, just keep flooding your bladder with water, and just let us know." Well, that night about 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up like I had to go, which is nothing new, and I'm standing there and nothing's happening. So I went back to bed. I woke up about a half hour later. Tremendous pressure. Long and short of it is, I had a blockage, and I couldn't urinate. And then it got so bad I couldn't even stand up. My wife had to call the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital. And the next thing they did was they tried to put a catheter in, and they couldn't get a catheter in. And they realized I had scar tissue on the top of my bladder, probably from the oxygen treatment I had. So then they had to do a procedure. That was the most painful procedure I've ever had in my life.
Oh, man.
Where they put this thing that looks like an ice pick down there and break through the scar tissue, which took them like 45 minutes, and they never knocked me out. They said, "Oh, this won't be bad." Yeah, it won't be bad.
Oh, God.
Not for them.
No, it was horrible. My wife was 4 rooms away, and she said she could hear me screaming.
Oh.
And about halfway through it, the nurse went down to tell her that I was okay. But finally, fortunately, they broke through and they got the catheter in. I had a catheter in for 4 or 5 days. The bleeding stopped, and they took it out. And they said, "Okay, come back in a couple days, and we'll figure out what we're going to do from here." But the next night, I get up, and again, I every time I would urinate, it was like living hell. So I called them up that morning, and they said, "Come on right in." I came in, and I had a urinary infection, which I'm on. I guess I'm almost. I 5th or 6th day now of pills for that, but I'm still not in great shape. So it really screwed me up because I had to cancel my trip to Johns Hopkins. And but Dr. Arno down there, she pulled some strings and got me an appointment for this Thursday down there, as long as I can go. And now I got to figure out what I'm going to, I can't keep bleeding. I mean, I went through all the oxygen treatments, 40 sessions of that, and obviously it didn't work. So I got back to New Jersey last Wednesday, a week ago Wednesday night, and it's been hell since I got here.
Wow.
So I don't know what they're, the doctor saw me, the urologist saw me on an emergency basis, and he couldn't sit down with me because he had other surgeries to do, to go over what kind of options I'm going to have to treat the bladder now. Whether it's going to, I don't know, I heard they can cauterize it, and I don't know what else they can do. So
have you, when you say the urologist, Jim, was this the urologist at Hopkins, or is this a local?
This was the urologist in New Jersey who I had a relationship with for 20 years. He was the one that discovered my cancer originally back in 2005. Okay. He's a top-notch, he's one of these guys that appears in the New Jersey Magazine as one of the top 100 doctors in the state.
Well, my suggestion to you would be, I know if it were me and I was already working with Hopkins and I had all these good docs at Hopkins, and given that Hopkins has such a great reputation, I would look at the options at Hopkins, talk to a urologist whilst you're down there. Have you seen a urologist? I know you've seen a medical oncologist there, GU medical.
Seen two different medical oncologists, one for my prostate cancer and one for the melanoma in my eye.
Right.
And of course, Dr. Arnott, who did the operation on me.
Right. But why don't you let her set you up with one of the urologists there?
I'm going to have to go through Carlucci for that because she's actually works for the Wilmer Eye Clinic down there. But originally, when I was started the incontinence problems, Carlucci said, no use coming here for urology. He says, oh, there's tons of good urologists out there. Get it treated locally. Save yourself some trips here. Because he knows how, while I'm in Florida, I got 1,000 miles to go. And from New Jersey, I have about 200.
Yeah, but you're going to be there next week, and it doesn't hurt to touch base with one of them down there and see what they're doing and what ideas they might have. So they see such a lot of it.
Has anybody on the call had any other treatment for bleeding of the bladder?
No, but two of us have had urinary retention. I know Gary in Spokane has, and I have. I'd recommend you see if Hopkins has a urologist that specializes in urodynamics that can do some testing for you and make sure there's nothing really wrong with the bladder, and it is scar tissue, because they might have to do a cystoscopy, to put a camera up there and really take a look at things. And
well, I've had the camera up there 3 times already.
And it's inconclusive, or do they know exactly what it is?
They say when Sloan Kettering did my radiation back in 05 and 06, they burned about half my bladder.
A couple of thoughts that I have, and I just don't know whether it would be worthwhile, whether you wanted to go through it or not. But there's a lot that can be done now with artificial bladders and valves, and this is such a long, ongoing problem for you, Jim, that talking to the people at Hopkins, where they really have the expertise, if you were going to have anything major done, is probably a lot better than talking to the local guy. I think that Peter's suggestion that you talk to somebody who has experience in urobiodynamics is also a very good suggestion. And, if you know that you're going up to see Carlucci next week, you're going up to...
Well, no, I'm not saying... I saw Carlucci 10 days ago.
Right.
I don't see Carlucci again until, I don't know, 3 months.
So I misspoke. I mean, if you...
But I can talk to him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, what I meant to say was, if you know you're going up there, contact Carlucci and tell him you really would like to see, because you think that this is now getting into areas that are beyond the local urologists, and it is a urological problem as opposed to a oncological problem. It's all related, and you'd really like to see, one of the good urologists at Hopkins, and have him refer you.
Oh, that's that. I'm gonna. After you're talking tonight, I'm gonna send him. I'll get in contact with him on Wednesday after the holiday.
Yeah.
But I'll probably still keep my appointment with the local urologist, just so I keep a relationship with him.
That's fine.
He's not pretend. He's not going to do anything at the next thing. He's just going to tell me what my options are and check out what he's done already.
If the scarring and the damage to the bladder is that bad, then maybe for quality of life and everything else, maybe you need to talk to him about an artificial bladder. I mean, there are people on this call that have had, I'm not sure if they've had artificial bladders. They've certainly had valves replaced. I know Jim Harrington has, and we've got other guys.
I talked to Jim. Last week. I gave him a call.
Yep.
because I know Jim from the local group here. You know, matter of fact, I'm the one that gave him this number a couple of years ago.
Right.
I talked to Jim, and I had a long conversation. I lose track of the days. I guess last Friday or Saturday, we had a long conversation.
Right.
And basically, what he had something similar that he had the blockage of the bladder too, and had the same treatment I had for it. And then he hasn't had any trouble since. And he had the sphincter put in, I don't know, he said 3 years ago, and that's worked excellent for him.
So these are some of the things that I think you should have on your list to talk to both the local guy and somebody at Hopkins. The other person to talk to who has great expertise in this area is Professor Bill, because he's been through a lot of this.
Okay.
And you can always call him. He's very, very welcome. I'll send you his telephone number. He knows you. I'll send you his telephone number afterwards. I
appreciate that.
And, you know, see how Bill's handled it.
Well, like I say, the thing that's most concerning for me, the incontinence now is second nature. I mean, not second nature, but second fiddle. I'm more concerned about the bleeding and the blockage.
Right.
And I got to get the cataracts done because I can't. My guys are so bad now that I can't drive. I can't read the newspaper. I can barely see the television screen.
Right. And the prognosis for your eyesight after the cataracts, is that good?
Well, Dr. Arnaud, matter of fact, she called me today, believe it or not, and because I had canceled the appointment down there, and we talked today, and she said, once I get my right eye, which is the non-cancerous eye, done, get that one done first. She said you ought to have adequate eyesight.
Good.
And then they want to wait 6 months because of the other surgery to do the cataract in the eye that had the cancer. But she said that eye, you'll notice a little different, but not a great difference, because the vision in that eye is decreasing all the time. Eventually that eye I'll have no vision in. I knew that when I had the surgery over a year ago.
Right.
Usually within 5, 6, 7 years, you totally lose vision in the eye.
Right. All right. Well, look. Let's figure a plan of action here, which is to call Professor Bill. I'll send you his number. Use his feedback and Jim Harrington's feedback. Oh, you got the two professors. You got Professor Jim and Professor Bill there giving you feedback. So it's got to be.
Maybe I can finally get my master's degree by talking to him.
That's right, certification.
I get some credits out of this.
And that's right. It shouldn't be a total loss, right? And then you know, put some questions together. As I always say to you, put them in writing. Give them to the urologist, your local guy. When you see, look at some of the options: an artificial sphincter, or you know, if it's the bladder itself that's damaged, look at some of those options. And let's see if we can't start to do something that is going to improve this quality of life issue for you.
I got to get the bleeding and clotting issue under control, because
that's right.
That's definitely a problem.
We don't know that the hyperbaric treatment was a failure yet. I mean, there's no point in writing it off. But maybe with a scope, they'll probably need, as Peter said, to scope you again, and you know, come to some results. Anybody else want to chime in here or contribute anything, Jim? Suggestions that he to talk to his doctor about?
Well, this is Gary, and I really feel bad for Jim. I was saying, I met with the nurse today to do biofeedback, and I was saying to her, you know, incontinence is a real hassle. But what really scares me is my urethra closing up. For him, it's the right at the neck of the bladder, it sounds like. But that's a real scary feeling when you cannot urinate at all. It's
Yes, it is very scary.
Yeah, so I really feel for you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Jim, this is Len.
Yeah, hi, Len.
Hi, I'm also so sorry to hear about all these troubles. I think I'm going to have to start calling you Job from now on. But if it makes you feel any better, when I sell this house and go down to Sarasota, Venice area, Joanne and I are going to take you and your wife out to a nice dinner.
Okay, I look forward to that. We had a nice lunch this past winter.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the process now. My wife and two of her girlfriends were here the last 2 days, and she's cleaning out all the closets because when we come back for Christmas time, we're gonna put this house up for sale and become permanent residents in Venice.
Oh, very good.
Owning two houses, going back and forth now that I'm almost 75 is getting to be a hassle.
Yeah, that's too much.
How did the kids feel about having to put you up in their house, though, Jim?
I'm sorry, you talking to me, Rick?
Yeah, I said, how do your kids feel about having to put you up in their houses in New Jersey?
Well, I only have a daughter here in New Jersey. I think I told you my son passed away from cystic fibrosis a couple of years ago.
Oh no, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. What we're probably going to do is when we come up, because we'll probably come up in the summer for 3 or 4 weeks or so, probably stay in one of those extended stay hotels.
All right. Right.
Last thing I want to do is stay with my daughter and the grandkids for an extended period of time. You know, that would get to be, not much relaxing time.
Okay, I got you. All right. Well, we'll look forward to another report next week. Hopefully, we're going to make some headway, and we'll keep throwing out suggestions at you, and I'll drop you a line after the meeting.
Yeah, I thought I was making headway the last couple of weeks, and then the floor fell out from under me again. But we're gonna hang in there and keep trying.
Good man. Okay, Dennis, you're up.
Okay. Good news first. My medical oncologist was just recently, named as one of the top 4 or 5 here in Tucson.
Oh, good.
Fred Ahman, Ahmann.
Yeah.
So kind of, as much as I miss having Dr. Singh here, who moved away.
Right.
This give me a little more confidence that the guy I've got can't be all that bad if he got named by this organization, which is Castle Connolly Top Doctors Databases.
Okay.
And that's you can go online to this top CastleConnolly.com, I guess. Yeah, CastleConnolly.com.
Is he, Dennis? Is he at U of A or is he at TMC or where is he?
University of Arizona, Banner.
Okay.
It's they have a separate cancer center. I think I mentioned to you on Campbell Avenue.
Yeah, on Campbell.
Up the road
I know.
from their hospital.
Yeah, it's there's a couple of big signs to Don Diamond in there, who I used to work for. So he was a big contributor to that center. So
yeah, they're just going through a major expansion of that facility now too.
Right. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do some work with them. Answer Cancer is going to be able to do some work with them. I have to work on that. I mean, one of the things that I was very surprised about is there isn't one physical prostate cancer support group in Tucson, which was a real surprise to me of any sort.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. The other news, which is not so encouraging, was I played golf today. Played my 18 holes as usual, twice a week. and get home, and I'm fatigued. I know this is part of the Lupron that I've been on for a little over a year now. And but when I get home, I get in the shower and I go lay down, and I'll take a nap for an hour and a half or so, just being completely exhausted. Well, today when I did it, when I woke up, what woke me up was extreme muscle cramping in my lower legs, both legs.
Right.
Like I had never experienced before.
Right.
To the point where there was nothing. I was moving and stretching my foot in different directions, and I could not alleviate the pain. And it was
right.
I couldn't stand up. It was scary.
Right.
And I knew I had enough hydration and electrolytes today with a couple of bananas and several bottles of Gatorade and everything. So it had never happened before, and I actually had to yell out for my wife to come and help me.
Right.
It was pretty scary, and so we got some ice packs, which I'd done before for an occasional muscle cramp, but this was usually I'd get it in one leg and in one spot. This was like both feet and both. It was a real severe case of shin splints that just wouldn't subside. It was not so much in the calf muscle, but in shin splints and in the quadriceps. So, but I'm feeling fine now. Just maybe just a little bit tender in those areas because it cramped up for probably I'd say a good 10 minutes or so before I could get some relief with the ice packs on it and stuff. I don't know if anybody else has had that type of a thing, probably related to the Lupron.
Well, I want to say a couple of things here. First of all, I mean, I've suffered from cramps for years, and when I was on the Lupron, I did have more cramps or more regular cramps, and we'll certainly open it up momentarily to talk to some of the other guys. Secondly, I think I mentioned I had a bout of this about a week and a half ago here, and some of it was definitely not having drunk enough, but I mean, I really empathize. I mean, the pain was unbelievable. I mean, and it literally took me 20 minutes just to be able to get from the bedroom to the refrigerator on one level. And the pain was rolling. It would go from my feet to my shins to my quads, and the cramps were that intense that I could still feel the cramps in my quads 3 days later. It was still sore. And it was in my arms, my hands, my shoulders. I mean, it was just everywhere, and it was really intense. So I do empathize. I tend to think that even though you think you may have been hydrated, that you maybe you weren't as hydrated as you could have been. I'll also tell you that I ran out today to do some errands and came back, and I was absolutely wiped and finished up having to take a nap myself, which I don't do very often anymore. But so I don't know whether it's the humidity that's starting to build up here or what it is. But the best news that you tell me is that now, an hour later, or a couple of hours later, you're feeling way better. I mean, you and I both know about how you have to keep hydrated in this heat, and you don't even realize you're getting dehydrated because it's so dry that you a lot of the times you don't even sweat that much because it just evaporates right off of you, and you don't notice it. But it sounds to me, I'm not a doc, but it sounds to me like there was some hydration issues involved, and that also the Lupron probably aggravates it a little bit. But it is scary. I mean, I really understand. I know how scary it is because you just and you know the pain. You know what the pain's like, and you know that when it eases up in one place, it's about to start in another place. You just wait.
Well, the other thing that was scary is I've got the 5 Mets in my lumbar spine, and so I'm constantly worried about spinal cord compression, and when I got online after I got up and was able to move, I started checking stuff out right away. And they talk about spinal stenosis and
Right.
Tumors in the lumbar area can cause this, but I would think if I would have it a lot more often if that was the source of it. So I'm hoping we're both right that it was probably some dehydration.
Yeah.
The humidity was a little higher today, and I did feel like I was perspiring more, even though the temperature was lower.
Right. I mean, Guy, when we talk about humidity down here in southern Arizona, and even though I've only been back here a month or so, I lived here for quite a good period of time once before. And, those of you living in the Midwest and out east, you would laugh at us because the humidity rarely reaches what you're experiencing, but just a little bit of humidity here, we kind of feel intensely. So who else has
changed?
Go ahead, Dennis.
I said the humidity level also changed quite rapidly here just recently. It was down to like 4%.
Yeah.
And I think it was up today maybe to 38 or something like that.
Yeah. I think that's why I was pretty white today. I think it was that humidity got me. But anyone else who's dealt with cramps and any ideas or thoughts for Dennis? Anything particular to do with the with his lumbar issues?
This is Jake. This is just a thought, Dennis. Are you on a statin by any chance?
No. I used to be before my diagnosis. I was on a statin, and I started having muscle cramping,
right,
and just got off of it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my next thought. Statins can cause cramping and muscle issues.
Right.
But you're not on it anymore, so I guess you're okay as far as that goes. So I second Rick's notion that it's dehydration.
Yeah.
Say again.
May I suggest a warm bath?
Yeah, I just got. As a matter of fact, I had taken a warm shower. And then, just laid down to take a nap, and then it just occurred probably about an hour and a half later.
Well, I'm talking about a bath, so you're not standing up, so you're laying down and relaxing.
Get in. Yeah, I've got a hot tub, but right now it's actually too hot for me to use. It's over 105 or 6, I think, out there now.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty warm,
yeah.
But I'm trying to get that. Once that gets cooled down, I'll start using that again. I do. Usually that is my routine after golf and the rest of the year as I get home and I get into the outdoor spa and turn that thing on.
That would be great. Yeah, if you could cool it down just enough for you to get in so that you feel, that would be a real good option.
Just pour some cold water in it and take some warm water out.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, just run the hose in there for a little bit, right?
Yeah. I will say to you though, Dennis, that talk to your doc about the statins, because it's really good if you have prostate cancer, especially advanced prostate cancer, to be on a statin all the time. Some of the statins are better than others, or thought to be better than others, because they have less interaction with other drugs. One of the things I'm planning on doing as soon as I get my medical insurance reset is to switch from simvastatin to Crestor. I forget what Crestor. What's Crestor called, Len? Which statin is Crestor?
It's rosuvastatin.
Rosuvastatin. Only because I love grapefruit so much, and I know you can eat grapefruits with Crestor, and you can't with simvastatin. But I urge everybody to discuss with their medical team if they're not on a statin to get themselves on it. One of the things that we know from the last 10 years is that the cancer has an ability to extract testosterone from cholesterol. So the lower your cholesterol levels, the less opportunity there is for the cancer to feed off of the cholesterol. So I just
Right, I've read that. Yeah.
So try to get onto a statin regime that will suit your body and your lifestyle, and if you're not on one, then I recommend you discuss it with either your GP or your medical oncologist, or whichever quarterback you want to go to. But do
Right.
think about that.
Dennis, you might also want to talk to your doctor about calcium supplements. Particularly because calcium is a good one to. When you get a calcium drain, it's often shows up in terms of cramps. Even with the most healthy people.
Yeah, I'm on a supplement for that now. I take 4 of these tablets a day. I don't remember the exact. It's made specifically for people that have metastasis. Was my urologist was put me onto this stuff.
Well,
it also contains the vitamin D to help the absorption, and vitamin K, I believe, too, is in there.
Well, talk to him. You might have to boost it a little bit if you've got calcium depletion there, because that can often lead to cramping. See if.
Yep.
See what
Right. Thanks.
Anyone else like to say anything to Dennis before we move on?
Yeah, I had one thought, and that's on statins. And I don't know much about them because I don't have cholesterol problems. But a buddy of mine had cholesterol problems, and I don't know what statin he put him on. But one of the side effects is going blind. And he was blind for 4 months this winter before it cleared up. So statins do have their own side effects by themselves.
They do. I mean, I've never heard of that one from I don't know which one it was, but I'll have to read the when I do my final refill with Kaiser. I'll have to read their side effect sheet a little more carefully then.
Yeah, it pretty well freaked him out.
Yeah, but I mean, it might be, but I don't want to scare people off statins because they go blind. I mean, statins are so widely used that, if it is an issue, talk about it. But I'm not giving you medical advice, but I know personally I would not be concerned about blindness. I mean, maybe that certain people have certain susceptibilities and that they have to be tested beforehand. But I mean, it's certainly worth mentioning, but I don't know what the incidence is. Len's probably Googling blindness and statins as we speak.
No, actually, I'm not. But I did want to tell Dennis or ask him, is he taking any magnesium supplements? They're supposed to be helpful for cramps. In my own experience, they are helpful. I find that if I forget to take magnesium, I'll tend to have night cramps. And then I start taking it again, and then they go away. The other thing is stretching. You should, before you go out and play golf, do as much stretching as you can, and then after you come back, do more stretching.
Yep, all good advice. And I do take the extra magnesium supplement too.
Okay.
A little over 400 a day.
Okay.
So whilst Len was talking, I did Google it, and it's interesting. It says statins could reverse the most common form of blindness, as well as lowering cholesterol. So here's one opinion that says that statins can reduce macular degeneration. That's interesting. Second time we've talked about macular degeneration on this call today. Because they clean out the fatty deposits in the blood vessel, which obviously has something to do with macular degeneration. At the same time, it also says, this is somewhere different, it says, can statin drugs cause eye problems? Statins were known to cause skeletal muscle disorders in some patients. A similar effect was plausible in the eye muscles. So, you know, it sounds like whatever this cramping issue that we know is associated with some statins, but it's not all statins. Maybe that has an impact on blindness. I don't know. But I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reporting what I read, and you can all do your own research. Okay.
Rick, do you know what the minimum dosage on the statin would be to get the benefit?
I don't.
For the issue with the testosterone?
I honestly, I don't know. I think that each statin is different, and I think it's very much about you know, just keeping that level low, and statins just help to do it. It's something that you could talk about with Dr. Arman. He would be the guy for you to discuss it with.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I would just comment on Peter mentioned the calcium. Calcium is good to take, but you can overdo it. So you need to check with your doctor, because it can lead to cardiac issues if you take too much.
Yeah, I mean, Jake raises a really good point. I would recommend that as part of your decision whether to take a calcium supplement or not, you talk to your doc, and that you ask your doc to test your serum calcium level. I mean, in my own particular case, I have always had very high calcium levels in my blood. So I don't take additional calcium. It's probably because it leaches. I leach from my bones into my blood. But you should know your own calcium levels. In fact, with all of your supplements, it's just generally good policy to check the level before you start taking a supplement. Because if in fact you have enough, there's no reason to take additional.
Agree.
All right.
Rick, this is Jake.
Yes.
This is Jay Kern, and I just came in, but I might have something that would be helpful for the cramps.
Go ahead.
I had a surgery about 2 weeks ago, and they made me stay off of all my vitamins and supplements. And so I got cramps.
So just repeat that again, Jay, please.
Okay, I had surgery for hernia,
right?
And they made me stay off of all my meds, more or less, and one of them was calcium. And then I got cramps 3 or 4 days after the surgery.
Okay. 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 So let's move along to Eric. Eric, are you with us? Mr. Bookbinder, are you?
I'm here.
You're there. I see you. Okay, you're up. You're on. You have you have the floor.
So after screwing around with my meds, they seem to have hit on what's working for me, which is a extended release morphine. I take one every 12 hours.
Okay.
And so far, the first day I did it, I had to supplement it. But this is the 4th day, and I took one in the morning, and I've needed nothing else. So either the pain is going away or the medicine's working. Either way, I'm not in pain now. I started the Zytiga on Friday. $2,750 copay, and so far as I can tell, I don't have side effects. I've had, as you can see, I'm almost falling asleep here. I have a lot of fatigue.
Right.
But it could be the morphine doing that too.
Yeah.
But so far, I mean, I've only taken this Zytiga for 3 days,
right.
And it seems to be okay. Excuse me, so far. And that's really all I have to report.
So,
well, I'm glad to hear the morphine's helping with your pain, Eric. That's good. Good to know that you're getting some relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly agree with that. Have you made an appointment with palliative care doc?
No, not yet.
Okay.
They were sort of, working on it, so I didn't need to yet.
Okay. Who prescribed the extended relief pills? Because I know you were having trouble getting them.
Yeah, Dr. Dolezal prescribed them. She's my med-onc in Berkeley.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that she's moved off the dime and she's giving them to you, because as Bill said the other day, that probably would help you a little bit.
Right.
So as far as that copay is concerned,
the donut hole.
Right, you're in the donut hole. I was just going to say, when you get out that donut hole, then it's going to reduce significantly.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen when I was on Xtandi, and so without my normal deductible is $300 for those things.
Right. And you can always talk to me about abiraterone as well, or anybody that is seeking abiraterone or waiting for them to apply. Just let me know. I may have some solutions for you. That's good news. Now, how are you managing with the prednisone?
I take morning and night. I take a pill.
Okay.
I don't have any effects from it. Side effects.
Good. And how long before you're going to wait a couple of weeks and then see what the impact is on the on your PSA?
Yeah, they want to watch closely. Some of my blood levels are low, and so they want to watch closely. So I'm going back in 2 weeks for blood tests, but the PSA won't be until a month.
Okay.
I'll have that done monthly.
How long did you get out of the Xtandi, Eric?
Oh, about 6 months.
Right. Well, I mean, 6 months is long enough to make one think that you're probably not ARV7 positive. So It may be that the Abby works for you, and you may even do better on the Abby than you did on the Xtandi.
Sure.
That's we're all keeping our fingers crossed for you. Who in fact prescribed the abiraterone? Was it Agarwal or was it Dolezal?
Agarwal sent me back to Dolezal.
Okay.
Dolezal did the actual prescribing.
Okay, but it was Agarwal's.
I have to go back to UCSF to do Xofigo.
Right. But it's great. I mean, it's great that Agarwal, that UCSF is working with Sutter for you. That they're working together. It's ideal. Yeah. Okay. Anybody want to chat with Eric about the abiraterone, the fatigue, the pain, anything?
Go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say, somebody, I won't mention his name, but he mentioned somebody. I've been having fatigue with Xtandi, and they recommended ginseng,
Mm-hmm.
an herbal supplement.
Yep.
You have to be careful. My doctors were on vacation, and I didn't really have a chance to talk to them, but I did some research, and you have to be careful if you're taking any aspirin products or any diabetic products. But other than that, ginseng, and that's why I'm probably not going to try it. But if you qualify, you might want to think about that. Rick thought it might be a good idea, and Rob from Answer Cancer says he takes it and has been for quite a number of years to help with his fatigue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Just a thought, Eric.
Yeah, if it works, then and you're eligible for it. I mean, that's exactly the reason why we always tell you don't take supplements without talking to your doc, because they all have interactions, and we don't know what they are. At least, usually we don't know what they are. But Jake's done some good research. Always check with your doc before taking a supplement. But ginseng is a good one, and if it suits you individually, I'm not sure that there's any harm in trying it. I mean, there's upside, and as long as your doc has approved it, there's very little downside from it. So I do know with ginseng, you have to be careful of the source. Rob uses a Wisconsin-based ginseng that apparently is very good. So just be sure that you're sourcing. And I really don't know how you take it. I mean, I know you can take it as a tea, you can take it as a pill. There are different ways to take it. I just don't know enough about it. I can ask Rob to come on one of these days and tell us a little bit, since he has the experience. I know he'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, the ginseng from Wisconsin is what they call American ginseng, which is totally different than Asian ginseng, which you can buy at 7-Eleven or whatever. Two totally different things. And he did say it takes up to 8 weeks to have an effect. So don't expect it to start working automatically.
Thanks, Jake. Good point. Great point. Len, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. Eric, there was a study published earlier this year showing that taking one Zytiga pill with food was as effective as taking 4, according to the package insert. I think it's something like 2. Don't take food 2 hours before, 2 hours after, something like that. I've forgotten already. But if
2
you take
before
it
and
with,
1 after.
Sorry?
2 before and 1 after.
Yeah, right.
2 hours before and 1 after. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so the study showed that taking one pill with food, it's much better absorbed, and it was as effective as taking the 4 pills. Now, it was a small study. I believe it was less than 50 patients. But, I mean, if the cost is an issue, something to consider after talking with your doctor about it. The other thing is, have you ever talked to anyone about taking marijuana edibles along with the opioids? Because I've heard, I don't know if medical marijuana is even legal where you are, but it's supposed to reduce the need for opiates in managing cancer pain.
I've tried edibles.
And
they don't seem to relieve any pain at all.
Okay, well,
I'm
nothing
not
is
taking
going to work
opiates.
for everybody, but there's THC, and then there's
CBD.
CBD, and the CBD is doesn't have cognitive effects, so you won't feel like you're high. Anyway, something to discuss with your doctor.
Yeah, Eric. I mean, I'm not. Again, that's a great discussion. As you know, they're pretty open to the use of medical marijuana at the in the UCSF palliative clinic, and there are some good medical marijuana dispensaries in Oakland, and they're pretty knowledgeable in there. I know Jerry, God rest his soul, found them pretty helpful, and they can weight and balance the marijuana that you get, so that you get a much higher CBD and a much lower THC dose. Again, it might be something that, if you're open to it, might be a consideration. And as Len says, it may complement the opioid. I have posted in the window, and I'm just about to post the study. I've posted in the window the study that a review of the study by Mike Scott, and I'm just about to post right now the study itself. There you go. So those are the two studies, and it's a really good point that Len makes, that even though it was a small study, abiraterone is absorbed through the liver, and so if you take the abiraterone with food, it becomes much more intense. I mean, I know of one situation where Chuck Ryan, who was the principal investigator for abiraterone, recommended to one of his patients that he take one pill with food, because the guy was going on a 6-week vacation and he didn't have enough abiraterone, and he wasn't going to get any more. He couldn't get more before he left. And so Chuck said to him, "Well, just take one a day with your food," which is, or a quarter of the regular dose with your food, however it was dosed. So it's definitely worth thinking about. The Pfizer study that we were just asked to look at involves matching a PARP inhibitor with either enzalutamide or abiraterone. And I asked the study, the principal investigators and the study designers there to consider including a food protocol for the abiraterone, because it's just easier on men to take it with food if they're willing to do it, and just as effective, at least the study says. And Len says, as Len says, and he's absolutely right, it was a small study, but it sort of confirms the knowledge that we have that it's much more potent when you take it with food.
Rick, I just posted a thing on the Facebook page. It was an online discussion by Chuck Ryan, talking about the latest abiraterone studies, and he mentioned there reducing the prednisone also. He wasn't talking about taking it with food, but he was talking about reducing the prednisone dose. So if you do decide to go with the one pill a day, I think you would certainly want to ask about reducing your prednisone also.
Yeah, what a good point. I mean, that's something that has occurred to me in the past, and I've raised it. I forgot all about that. Thanks so much, Jake. Yeah, I mean, if you do go with one pill a day, then you have to make sure you're dosing your prednisone accordingly. And again, it should be discussed with Dolosol. I mean, what I probably would do, Eric, is forward these studies to Dolosol and ask her whether you would be a candidate, and if so, what your prednisone dose should be, or to Agarwal, or to both. I mean, Agarwal is going to be receptive because he's he's a colleague of Ryan's.
I'm going to be a dissenting voice here, because I'm thinking if the one Zytiga pill is giving you the same blood levels as 4 Zytiga fasting, then it's going to have the same effect on suppressing the adrenal production of cortisol, which is what the prednisone is replacing.
Well, I mean, it's not, you're not dissenting. I mean, all we're saying is if you go to the 1 pill a day, just make sure that your prednisone, you've discussed the prednisone dose with your doc. And I absolutely agree with you, Len. I mean, I haven't heard I haven't heard this Ryan, what Ryan was discussing or why he discussed reducing the prednisone, but it's probably worth listening to. But I again, don't be messing around with these dosages without talking to your doc.
Yeah, I think the discussion on prednisone was kind of like an aside. It was a half an hour discussion. I've only listened to it once, and I had to listen to something 3 or 4 times before I understand what the hell they're saying. But it was an aside, but they did talk about reducing the dosages of prednisone.
Okay. So Eric, is this registering?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Okay. Well, let's keep moving. We've got Jay Curran that's joined us, and then somebody else just joined us. Who was that?
David Sibley.
David Sibley, welcome, David Sibley. With or without your daughter?
Yes.
Are you with or?
Hey, I don't know. She said she was going to be on here too.
Okay. Well, we haven't seen her yet.
Okay.
And just
I'm sitting here just.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just going to sit here and listen. I had some issues with Xtandi if anybody wants to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll come to you on that. And just tell Christine that the caregivers meeting this week is on Wednesday. It's not on Tuesday because of the holiday.
Okay.
We switched it to Wednesday. So she'll find us at the same Tuesday time, but she'll find us on Wednesday. And again, gives me a chance to plug our caregivers group, which is not just for prostate cancer, it's for any caregiver that is providing for somebody that has advanced cancer. So if you know other people that are wrestling advanced cancers of different types, and they have a caregiver that would like some support, we absolutely welcome them to that call. Barbara's been on it. David's daughter, Christine, often contributes. It's a very good call, and we are fortunate to have just an outstanding moderator in Renata. And I chime in a little bit from time to time. So we'll move on. Mark, is Barbara back with the dog?
Yes, I am. I am back.
Dog? You are good.
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, you and Mark are up.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to let people. I think Mark wants to bring up a couple of issues. Hold on. Okay. Okay, hang on. His voice is not the best, so I'm going to.
How you doing?
We can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I got a lot of stomach issues, ulcers. I think acid reflux, but none of the doctors agree on my But I went to see the GI, and he put me on some new meds. When I got home, I was really tired. I took a nap, and I hadn't taken the new med. So the new med's not at fault. When I woke up, this is what my voice sounded like.
Oy.
And it's been like this now for 5 days. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better. I got this stupid cough. And I have no idea what it's from.
Have you talked with your I don't know who you use as your quarterback, whether it's your medical oncologist or whether it is your GP, I doubt that it's Morris because he's so busy. But have you talked with any of your doctors about this issue since the GI visit?
No, I haven't. I'm not give him a call.
I think
Wednesday or so.
Yeah, I definitely think that you that you need to do that.
I mean, I've lost my voice
Go ahead.
a couple times before. I've lost my voice a couple times before. It came right back.
Yeah, yeah. You know, some of it may have something to do with the damage, the esophageal damage that you've experienced. I just don't know. But I would be wanting to talk to some medical professional. It sort of raises this issue that bothers me a lot in your situation, in your particular situation, Mark, that you don't have a great relationship with Morris, and that the community.
I think I do.
Is not.
I think I do, but
Morris
he just doesn't agree with anybody.
Say that again.
He doesn't agree. Yeah, I think I have a good relationship. I think I have a good relationship with him, but he's just not interested in this whole stomach stuff. So he doesn't agree. Doesn't agree with the GI, and they don't talk to each other.
He doesn't agree with whom?
The gastrointestinal guy.
Oh, with the GI guy. I mean, the only thought that I've had, and I know it's really, really difficult to do this, but you know, the one doc that, I mean, there are several good doctors at genitourinary medical oncologist, but one of our regular guys who hasn't been on the call for quite a while, but he has called me. He actually was in touch with me this week. A guy called Richard Foodie who lives in the city, and he uses Dana Radcliffe, and he really likes her, and we've actually referred men to her, and by and large, they all, she gets glowing reviews from everybody. She's very collegial. I'm not sure she has the ego that some of the, like the Shares and the Morrises have. Len, well,
Yes.
you have something to say on this issue?
You mean on Dana Rathkoff?
Well, I think that one of the problems that Mark is facing is just trying to get good coordination at Memorial Sloan Kettering, and you know, that getting his medical team to work together more closely. I mean, I know he was having problems finding a palliative care doc. We talked about a guy who's an anesthesiologist, but also does a lot of palliative care, who works out of the one of the Jersey facilities. But,
I have an appointment with him now.
Oh, you do have an appointment. Good. When is that? When's that going to be?
Later in July.
Great, excellent. But Mark, you should know that Len has been a patient at Memorial Sloan Kettering for 5 years now. Len, how long?
No, it was 3 years.
3 years. So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've heard that it's very difficult to switch your medical oncologist. It's not something that they like to do. But I'm not sure. It sounds like Mark isn't necessarily dissatisfied with Morris. It's just that he's apparently not agreeing with the GI person.
Right.
I don't know if he really wants to switch. But let me just ask this. Mark, do you have like esophageal reflux or any, acid reflux problems?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. because that can cause hoarseness, like what you have. But I mean, you don't get any pressure in your chest or burning sensation or anything like that?
No.
No. Oh, okay. Probably not an issue then.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but the esophageal issues arose out of the radiation, didn't you say?
Right. Couldn't swallow for.
Right.
Right. That's when listen, we're not going to solve this one. I have a bigger question for you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run through it. And by the way, I am going to switch oncologists at the phone because I just find it too hard to get into the city. I'm going to get one. They're going to switch me to someone in jail at Baskin Ridge. I have a bigger question. And this is, I mean, I'm just messing with the idea of just stopping chemo. I just hate the effects. If I continue to do chemo, it's incremental difference in my lifespan. It leaves me so drained, almost like a zombie. There's always these like out of the dark pain bouts that are never the same from one chemo to the next. I just don't want to do it anymore. So I'm wondering if you guys have had similar advice to do it, not do it. Just what you guys.
I mean, you know, what we said. The first thing I would do, if it looks like you're getting some response out of it, the first thing I do, as we said last time, is I talk to Morris or whoever it is you're going to talk to about switching to cabazitaxel, because the profile of cabazitaxel is much lighter in terms of side effects. And you know, before you give it up altogether, try it with cabazitaxel and see if you respond better to it. I mean, I hear you that the docetaxel is not working for you. Doesn't mean that you'll do better on cabazitaxel, but you might do, because I don't know. Is there anybody on the call? Yes, Frank Kelly, you've done docetaxel and cabazitaxel, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
And how was the cabazitaxel compared to the docetaxel?
Cabazitaxel seems to work better. I got up to about 6 on docetaxel, and immediately saw PSA lower on the cabazitaxel. The problem with cabazitaxel is I end up a lot more spinal pain than I did with the docetaxel. Other than that, I don't notice much difference.
Other than the spinal pain, which may have had something to do with the Mets and the timing.
Oh yeah.
Did you experience different side effects? Was it easier? You didn't tolerate the docetaxel that well. Was the cabazitaxel any easier to tolerate?
Okay. It may be a little easier. I still have stomach problems because of it, or intestinal problems because of it, and the back pain came up. So, but it's working on the PSA better. They tried to give me a tramadol, which is a painkiller. It's not an opiate, because I'm scared to death of opiates and what it will do to me. And that's probably the next conversation we'll have, is how to go about relieving some of the pain I'm getting. But I'd rather be on the cabazitaxel because it's a lot more effective.
Has anybody else done on the call done docetaxel, cabazitaxel?
Lucky me.
You're right. Bingo. Well, Mark, that's the first thing. I definitely would speak to the docs about the option of cabazitaxel.
Doesn't sound good. He had more back pain. He had stomach problems. That's what I got now.
Well, stomach problems with Frank Kelly are not associated with the chemo. I mean, Frank Kelly, we'll come to Frank momentarily and he'll tell you, but Frank has a 30-year history of very serious stomach issues. So I don't think we could necessarily associate the stomach issues with the cabazitaxel compared to the stomach issues with you. I think it's different. I mean, you've got to look at Frank's medical history. In terms of the back pain, you know, that has something to do with the metastasis. Has a lot to do with the metastasis rather than the chemotherapy, and that's why you're going to see the palliative care doc, Ken, I forget his last name now, yeah,
my wife seems to think that the spinal pain means that it's working. I don't know. That's my wife's viewpoint on it.
To be discussed with the doc. I mean, I have heard that before, but I just would encourage you to, I mean, it's your decision. The issue is, what do you do? What else can you do? I mean, there are other drugs out there. I know you used abiraterone in trial. How long did that work for you, Mark?
The trial was a limited amount of time. So, I don't know, it was like 6 months maybe.
Right. I mean, again, you know, I would test, if it were me, I'd test to see if I was ARV7 positive. That's the androgen receptor variant 7 positive. And if I was not, I would definitely consider either going with abiraterone or enzalutamide again. Getting off of it and trying it. And that's something to put on your list and to push and to push Morris to do those tests. I just want to go back to Len for a second. Len, what was Dom, God rest his soul's, history with Morris? I never really understood that. Did he get on with him? Did he not get on with him? What were the issues? Were there issues or?
Yeah, there was an issue because Morris advised him not to get retroperitoneal radiation. And then Dom went down to Datoli and he got 40 rounds of just that down there, and his PSA didn't improve at all. And then he, as Dom told me, he said, I went back to Morris with my tail between my legs, and Morris was not at all happy about what he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. I hadn't heard that story before. I knew that there was some sort of issue there, but I never was quite sure what it was. But it doesn't really, that doesn't affect, that isn't pertinent to Mark's situation.
But Rick, if I can just add that, if you remember, Dom had docetaxel, and then later in a trial he had cabazitaxel, and he wound up with peripheral neuropathy that he never was able to shake.
That's true.
So, I mean, for what it's worth, and it's not a scientific opinion, Mark, I would personally not go with the cabazitaxel, but of course only you can make that decision.
I mean, the only thing, Mark, I can tell you is that the cabazitaxel does have, and the supposed benefit of the cabazitaxel is that it has a much lower side effect profile, and there are a lot of men, not a lot, but I know a number of men who have taken it and have tolerated it way, way better than the docetaxel. But there again, there are also instances, and Len's absolutely right. I mean, it did cause Dom neuropathy. So again, every man's different, but I just want to throw it out to you that is the reason that it would be worth a discussion. But also, separate and apart from docetaxel or from any taxane-based chemotherapy, find out if you're a candidate for abiraterone or Xtandi. Go back on it. I mean, look, you just heard Eric talk about Xtandi. He got 6 months out of it. Now he's come back to, and they put him on abiraterone.
Right.
So there are a lot of other options out there that may be easier for you to tolerate than docetaxel, which for some men can be very vicious, and you're one of them. Oh, guys, it's raining here. Raining, Dennis. I can hear it.
Good. Send it north.
Raining in the desert.
I'll still swear by cabazitaxel.
Cabazitaxel. Jeff Tanner for you, Mr. Kelly. Okay, look, let's keep moving here. Mark and Barbara, anything else you want to raise today?
No, nothing else. Thanks.
And Barbara, you probably heard me say, but don't forget our caregivers meeting is on Wednesday this week, not the regular Tuesday.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Rick, can I ask a real quick question?
Of course.
From Mark.
Yes.
I'm sorry I had a hard time hearing everything you said, Mark. But you had some kind of procedure on your gastrointestinal tract. Did they by any chance do a scope that might have possibly nicked your larynx, or that could have that as they're going down to look inside, they might have nicked your larynx? Just a thought.
I did a scope back in March, and
okay, so I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Thank you.
But please talk to whichever doc you feel is the best one, but talk to one of your docs about this laryngitis sooner rather than later. And let's, it may be related, it may not be related, but talk to one of them and let's see if you can't get some relief from that. Okay.
All right, we'll do.
So Frank, you're up.
Well, there's not a whole lot new and different. I do have a new oncologist, which we're a lot happier with. When my one retired, we got some guy that looks like he looks in the mirror and combs his hair all the time, and Mr. Beauty. And so we moved out of there into another place that we're very happy with. They check on me once a week. He did move me over to cabazitaxel, and my PSA dropped. Biggest problem I'm having now is eating. I'm losing weight, not huge quantities, but a pound here and a pound there. Just a lot of trouble eating. I'm eating mostly soft foods, bananas, cottage cheese, an occasional piece of chicken, but mostly avocados, that sort of stuff. It's not, and smoothies with protein powder in it. Right now we're trying to, next visit is next Monday, I believe. We're trying to figure out how to come to grips with the pain. The pain really wasn't so bad until they gave me Neulasta.
Right.
And the Neulasta just made it feel like my hips were splitting apart. So I did 2 doses of those, and we called that off. But the pain has kind of stayed with me since. Not as bad as it was. So that's the real issue now is there's not much out there but opiates.
Frank, what's the name of this new doctor?
Dr. Mulvey.
Mulvey, okay. And so you were on cabazitaxel in, I know when we last spoke to you earlier in the year. So Mulvey has just continued the cabazitaxel, and how often are you getting it?
Oh, well, he pretty much started me on it. The other guy did start me on it. Then he went back to docetaxel, and then I went back to the cabazitaxel.
Okay.
And I'm getting it once every 3 weeks.
Okay.
I'm going to take a break here. Let's see, I had it 2 weeks ago. I'm going to take a break here for 6 weeks because I've got my 40th anniversary coming up.
Right.
And we're going to do a little traveling, and I don't want to be bogged down by the chemo. So
Where you going? Where you going?
we're going to a dude ranch in Montana.
Okay. All right.
Got 11 people joining us, family and friends, and
Fantastic.
a couple days of fishing and ATV riding, and we'll see if I can handle it. But that's why I'm going to go off of it for 6 weeks.
Fantastic. What's your PSA doing? Where are you?
Well, it's waffling a little bit. I'm at 2.6.
Mm-hmm.
I was down to 1.6 at one point, but it's jumped back up. But it's a minor jump. It's not a major jump. But I get a blood test on Monday to see where it's at now.
We should explain to people on the call who don't know you that you don't make PSA, so you've never ever had a high PSA. I mean, what's the highest your PSA ever was?
Was a 9.
Right.
And that's with a Gleason score of 8 or 9.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I never really. In fact, I never even had a swollen prostate.
Right.
And they give me a DRE or DRE.
Right.
It never came up as an issue.
Right. And just give Mark Mooney the elevator 2 cents elevator version of your stomach problems, just so that he understands that you've got a history there with your stomach.
Oh yeah, he knows that. So we're just kind of playing with seeing where we're going. He told me, I outright asked him, as the first doctor had said, I said, what's the prognosis? He said about a year. So the question now is quality of life. I mean, if I go 2 weeks or 6 weeks without the chemo and I feel a lot better, I may just stay off of it.
Well, wait a minute. Let's come back to this 1 year, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at my notes here, and I think you and I didn't start talking at least 3 months because I had to talk with Lisa for the first 3 months because we couldn't even get you on one of these calls.
Yeah.
And at that time, I seem to recall the prognosis was about 1 year, wasn't it?
Well, they said without treatment, a year to 2.
Okay.
So I'm back on that schedule with treatment.
Okay. Well,
it's going to be a personal choice. It's not one I relish making, but my wife's read many a study that says that men that go off treatment end up with a better quality of life for the duration they got left.
Yeah.
And not near they a little more enjoyment in life and not near the pain in their life and not near the doctor stuff.
Well, I think the big issue, Frank, is the pain management. And what concerns me right now is your issues, and you're not happy about taking opiates, and I think that that you've got to have some serious discussions with some really good palliative docs about what your options are, and if you don't want to take opiates, what are your other options? And I don't know whether there's a palliative care doc in the practice that you're in right now, but if there isn't...
Oh, yeah, there is.
So are you talking to them? To him? Her?
No, that's what we're going to work on next week.
Okay.
Haven't gone that far, but there is nothing other than this tramadol that I'm taking. There really isn't anything else out there but opiates.
Okay.
And right now, even without opiates, I'm taking Miralax, I take Senna, I take about 3 or 4 constipation relievers.
Right. So your fear around the opiates is that it's going to gum up the works.
Oh, it's going to make it a lot worse, I think.
Right.
I mean, we'll try it and see what happens, but that's my. I mean, aside from being cancer, my main issue is what goes on in my belly.
Yeah. I mean which is a very old story.
Yes.
Who here on the call wants to catch up with Mr. Kelly?
I'll speak at once.
I was just going to.
Well, Rick, this is Len, or Frank, this is Len. I don't know if this is going to make you feel more inclined to take opioids or not, but tramadol actually is an opioid. It's not as powerful as the other opioids, but it is in that category.
Okay.
Rick, this is Jake.
Go ahead.
I had to laugh. I had to laugh when you said you couldn't get Frank to talk. He joins us on our conversations, and we can't shut him up.
Oh, thank you, Jake. Appreciate it.
I know. I'm just kidding
when you. When you only have 4 or 5 guys on, somebody's got to fill the holes somewhere.
That's true.
Jake, you want to do a quick commercial for your Inner Conversations call whilst we're at it?
Sure. Inner Conversations is we hold it every second and fourth Thursday of the month at 8 o'clock Eastern time. By the way, we're not having it this time on the second Thursday. We just haven't had enough people showing up, so we decided to cancel. People are out of town or whatever, so we decided to cancel it. But anyway, it's not a technical call. It's we talk about feelings and emotions and how all this crap kind of affects us and makes us feel. How do we deal with family issues? How do our families take it? How are they interacting with us? And we just have a good time. We just like Rick does. If a new person comes on, we let him talk for a while. But then after that, we just kind of relax and just kind of discuss, what's on everybody's mind. And we all end up feeling better when the call is over, or most of us do. I think Frank.
Remember, I've been on there for 2 years already. I think whenever we started it, I was one of the first ones on there.
You were.
And I do like it. I feel very good afterwards. It's kind of a humor hour, and
yep.
We're all pretty good buds and appreciate what each other has to say. So, no, I'm well aware of it. His trick is to find more people.
Right. Yeah, and we are discussing opening it up to additional cancers. So if anybody knows of anyone suffering with cancer, we are considering opening it up to other kinds, right. Not just prostate cancer. So, but anyway, the second Thursday of this month, we're not going to be doing it, but we will be holding it on the 4th, and we invite everyone to join us.
Okay.
Have you heard anything from Ron?
No, I have not.
Okay, because he went back.
Have you, Rick?
No, I haven't. Rob's the one to check in with. Jay, just be sure if you're not holding a meeting to send out a notice that you're not holding a meeting, please.
Well, I would, but John, he's kind of parochial about that stuff. He wants to do all that stuff himself because it's his group.
Just coordinate with John to remind him remind him that he has to send out a notice. He'll do it. But
yeah, I did put a notice on the Facebook page, but
okay. just please remind him. I think we are going to open it up to other cancers. Our caregivers meeting is open to all cancers, and I personally am in huge support that we open the meeting up, because so many issues with cancer cross the different types of cancer, and particularly on this emotional support type of call. I think it would be great. So yes, if you know anybody struggling, any men, because that is a men-only call.
Right.
If you know any men struggling with cancer, then please encourage them to check out our Inner Conversations call. So back to Frank. Frank, when are you leaving on this? Boondoggle to Montana?
In about 2 weeks.
Great, excellent. Send us some pics that we can put on our web pages somewhere.
Well, hopefully I'll show you a picture of a 10-pound brown trout.
Whoa!
but I doubt it. But that's just wishful thinking.
Okay. Any salmon in those Montana rivers?
Oh yeah, in the Bitterroot, when it gets big, they're deep, and it's mostly cutthroat, which is catch and release only.
Uh-huh.
The only ones you can keep are browns or rookies or rainbows, which is rainbows are transplanted, so they want those out.
Okay.
The cutthroat are protected in Idaho and Montana, everywhere now, because they've got some kind of whirling disease that they've got that's spreading from river to river.
Oh.
And devastating the population. Even though everything is cutthroat, they've closed it all off to eating any of them.
Uh-huh.
It's fine with me, because half the battle is just the fun of catching them.
Okay.
They do have a practice pond there for rookies, because there are a couple of rookies that never fly fished, and those ones you can keep because they're nursery raised.
I see.
And they'll cook them up for dinner for you if you want.
Oh, so this is all fly fishing. So you're wading in up to your waist there in the water, huh?
No, we're floating.
Oh, you're floating.
Yeah. So you cover a lot of ground, and every once in a while you put an anchor down if you got good pools and stuff like that. 2 to a boat. Only 4 of us are fishing. Okay. The rest are going to just raft the river.
Okay. All right. Well, anyone else want to talk to Frank about fishing or anything else that might have come up in this conversation?
Well, Frank, I hope you're a better rafter than I am, because I did the same thing on the Bighorn just south of Billings, and we tipped over the boat, and we all ended up in the river, and it was quite an ordeal, but it was something that you remember.
Did you lose all your fishing equipment and everything?
We lost everything. The only thing we could find was the boat itself. It ended up on a sandbar a little bit further down the river, and we all floated down to it.
At least you had transportation home. Yeah.
Yeah, the person we rented the boat from was really, really upset. So, good luck.
They're not supposed to tip the boat over on you.
No, they're not.
I've floated many a time, and I've spin cast on a raft before, but I've never fly fished, which would be interesting because you've got 2 people working front and back of the boat, and someone being a rookie. It'd be interesting to see how many whack fucks we create.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll just see what happens.
Okay. Well, I must remember to add that this call covers fly fishing as well when I post it.
By the way, the temperature in Montana in 2 weeks is supposed to be 98 every day.
Uh-oh.
So at least I'm in the water instead of in the city.
Okay. Well, we really hope that you have a great time, you and Lisa, and congratulations on your 40th wedding anniversary. Is your son going to come with you?
Oh yeah, his girlfriend and my wife's sister and her kids and my sister and her ex-husband, and there are 11 of us total. So she had a good friend of mine and his girlfriend.
Fantastic.
For about 5 days.
Will you be, Frank, will you be back in time for our inner conversations on the fourth Thursday?
Yeah, I will be back by then.
Okay,
Fourth
good.
Thursday, I don't know. I'm there till the 20. Yeah, it should be.
Okay,
I don't
good.
know what date the fourth Thursday is, but
Yeah, I don't either off the top of my head.
we're gone through about the 27th, so I may miss it then.
The fourth Thursday is the 27th.
Yeah.
Okay. That should be a Sunday.
No, the 27th is a Thursday.
Was a Thursday. Then I won't be here for that because I think we come back. That's Sunday then.
Well, do you ever hear of a telephone?
Well, there's no self service where we are, and I just highly doubt it'll be done.
Oh well. Well, we'll miss you if you're not back, but have a good time.
That's what I was about to say. You guys are gonna miss me. You need more people.
We will miss you for sure.
Well, Gary from Spokane, you weren't on last time.
No, I had to go to an event. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we missed you, and we missed Sylvester.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have Ken either.
And Ken, right.
Ken was
I'll
out.
try to be there this Thursday. I was
Well,
having an
not
appointment last week.
yeah, not this next Thursday, Sylvester. The fourth Thursday, the 27th.
I'll do my best to be there.
Okay.
All
You'll
right.
hear about it if you're not there.
All right, guys. Let's touch base with David Sibley. David, are you still with us? I see his name. Ah, yep. Are you there?
Yep, I am here.
Okay. Anything to add about fly fishing, Mr. Sibley?
No, but I just came back from Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and Alberta.
Ooh. Tell us about it. What were you doing up there?
Nice trip.
Nothing. Visiting relatives and doing nothing.
Okay. Was it a good trip?
Oh, very good.
Good. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on in your world and the Xtandi, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I've been on Xtandi full dose for 2 months. And at that point, the side effects, bone pain, muscle pain, joint pain, became what I call brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to do this 3-week road trip. So I stopped the Xtandi, the day I left. And it took about 3 days before I noticed things were getting better. By the end of the trip, all of the bone pain, muscle pain, joint pain were gone, which gave me cause for thought on what to do with the Xtandi.
Right.
My decision was when I got home, I would start Xtandi back at a lower dose because I do have a month's supply.
Right.
And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've been back on Xtandi for about 4 days now.
And are you experiencing any more pain or not?
Not yet. So I expect the pain to come back, but at the lower dosage, I'm not sure. So I'm still, school is out on that one.
Do we know if it's having an impact on your PSA?
Well, the first month we dropped from 9 to 5. In the second month, I went from 5 to 4.3. And then I stopped. So I just had a PSA test this week, and I don't have the results yet. Excuse me, last week.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, since you were not on it for a while, if it goes up. One of the things that I'd like to do, because this muscle pain and bone pain It's not something I've heard a lot about, and I'm going to check around everybody because we've got other guys that are on Xtandi. I mean, the fatigue is something that people complain a lot about, but again, I'd like to feed it back to Pfizer Medivation and see what thoughts they have, or any suggestions they might have that you could take back to your doctor. Because I'm in pretty much direct contact with them with respect to some other work that they asked me to do for them. And by the way, which they have made a donation to Answer Cancer Foundation for that work. Not a lot, but it's a start. We're hoping to put a grant application into Pfizer to help us expand. But having said that, how's your fatigue been? Have you felt very fatigued from it or not?
I did have fatigue while I was taking Xtandi.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of resting. But since I've stopped, the month I stopped, the fatigue did not go away completely, but it did get better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because I never had any pain on Xtandi. Never bothered.
Well, mine was to the point where I was debating not using it at all. So
yeah.
So just so you know, I got about 9 months out of it. 9, 10
okay. And I'm just 2 months in, full dosage, 1 month with no Xtandi, and now I've just started it at 3/4 of the dose.
And one good thing with the Xtandi is that you don't have to take the prednisone with it, so you don't have to manage your prednisone when you're adjusting your dose, which is a problem with the abiraterone, as we were saying before. When you come off of abiraterone, you cannot just stop your prednisone. You have to wean off of it, and you have to wean up. Jake, what's your experience been other than the fatigue? I know you suffered with the fatigue, but anything else?
Right. It's I've been on it now for about 5 months, I think, 4 months, and it took a couple of months for me to feel anything. And in my case, it actually reduced my pain a little bit. I've always had back pain, and it made it a little bit better, not completely, but it helped a little bit. As you mentioned, the fatigue. I found, and it might be psychological, it might be, effects of the medicine, but I'd have temporary side effects. Like I thought I had an allergy, for example, or I was sensitized to new foods from the from the Xtandi, but then that went away. I had a couple of other things, and I can't even remember what they were. Mental fog is one of the side effects, but they seem to go away with time. They seem to lessen with time, I should say. Maybe not go away completely. So I think as your body acclimates itself, a lot of times you may very well feel better, and I hope that's the case with you.
Anybody else has been on enzalutamide and like to talk about it? No?
Well, just to mention, I found it very effective until the 9, 10 months came up.
Right.
Yeah, it dropped my PSA like a rock. At half almost every time.
And Frank,
yeah, me too. It's been very effective.
Frank, on that score, some men find that they can go back on it and get more time out of it after they've been off for quite a while.
We've talked about that, yeah.
Okay. And
by the way, my insurance company will no longer use CVS for Xtandi. You have to go through somebody else now.
Oh, right.
Otherwise you pay full boat.
Right.
I don't know what that's part of the ACA or what it is, but I got a letter the other day just said you have to go through this one pharmacy, otherwise won't.
That's right. Yeah, we know that, and we've been lobbying to try and get that changed again. I'm not sure if it's a CVS issue or if it's a Pfizer Medivation issue, but we do know that that they wouldn't stop it, so it made it less convenient. But thank you for reminding me. I'll try and get an update on that.
You know, that's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that because I have Blue Cross as my insurance, and their specialty pharmacy is CVS, and there's no issue with them. Just as an aside, you know, they call me every month, tell me I'm ready for my refills, and I have a $20 copay. They're great. So, but I have seen the article about the CVS.
I'm Blue Cross of Idaho, but they have nothing to do with each other.
Well, I'm federal Blue Cross, but still.
Oh, okay.
It's very strange. You know, the CVS thing, I read that about a year ago that they weren't going to be covering abiraterone anymore. I mean, I'm sorry, I keep saying abiraterone, Xtandi. But they do in my case. So it's very strange.
The other thing is that if you got some time out of enzalutamide, you may also get some time out of abiraterone. Some men do, some men don't. But it's another option to think about, Frank. Yep. But to come back to David, I just wanted to check this. Is your medical oncologist aware of what you're doing?
Yes, we had a meeting last week.
Okay.
And he approved the dosage change.
Great.
So that's where we are.
Okay. All right. Well, and when is it that you're going to go back to? Is it Agarwal that you saw when you went to UCSF? I can't remember.
Freelander.
Freelander, of course. Yeah. When are you next supposed to see Friedlander?
I just email him if I have questions.
Okay. Okay.
I don't have any scheduled appointment yet.
Did he have any input on this intense muscle pain, bone pain on the enzalutamide?
He did approve a reduced dosage.
Okay. 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 Well, we've come up against the witching hour again. I just looked and it's 6 minutes past 7. Jay Curran, we didn't get a chance to chat with you. Is there anything quick that you'd like to raise?
Well, my PSA is down to 0.663, and they want me to go on this Zentiva, because of that convention in Chicago where they say, well, let's do it earlier. So I'm debating that, and I'm a little scared of prednisone.
Okay, well, I wouldn't be scared about prednisone provided you handle it right. You've just got to go on to it slowly and come off of it slowly. But if that's Dr. Ryan, isn't it? Isn't that who you see?
Well, his nurse practitioner, who I think you have certain feelings about. Go ahead.
Well, what I would say is don't go on Zytiga without talking to Dr. Ryan, is what I would say.
Okay.
Again, you know, and I've said it many times before, nurse practitioners are great if you're on steady routine treatment and you need to see them, but don't be making treatment decisions without discussing it thoroughly with your Geneva urinary medical oncologist.
One thing about prednisone that I noticed, because they had me on and off of it, is that prednisone tends to keep your weight on. It absorbs, it keeps water in you or something like that. But I've gained weight on prednisone. I'm tempted to go back on it just for that reason.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Well, again, we filled up the time pretty well, I think, given that we didn't have any new guys, a lot of interesting discussion, and for those of us who don't know much about fly fishing, we all feel a little more educated at this point in time. So, Frank, have a wonderful vacation. Anybody else going away? Have a
Thank you
wonderful
very
vacation. As some of you may know, the Brits celebrate July 4th as Thanksgiving. So maybe I should wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, even though I am a U.S. citizen. Think about that one. Think about it, guys. And we'll be meeting again next Tuesday. And we welcome all of you. Have a great time tomorrow. Enjoy your fireworks and enjoy your barbecue and stay cool.
Thank you, Rick.
Good night, everyone.
Rick,
Good night, Rick.
Happy 4th of July.
Rick,
Yes.
next Tuesday you stated.
Yes. Next Tuesday.
At 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Happy holiday.
Happy holiday, everybody.
You guys have a good time.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.